My girlfriend declared, "I am not letting go of my ex. Deal with it." I said calmly, "Okay." She smiled. "I knew you would understand." I continued, "I will go solo from here." Her confused, "What does that mean?" I replied, "It means you keep your ex. I keep my dignity. Goodbye." Her shocked, "You are breaking up with me." Got my response. That moment, ending a 2-year relationship over a text exchange that lasted maybe 3 minutes, felt completely unreal. Lydia, who was 27, and I, 29, had met through mutual friends at a barbecue 2 years prior. The chemistry was instant and potent. We moved fast, the way people do when everything just clicks. She was bright, funny, and worked as a graphic designer, always full of creative energy and stories about strange client requests. We made things official quickly, and for a long time. Everything was solid. I considered myself easygoing, someone who chose stability and calm. The unsettling quiet began about 6 weeks ago, when her ex-boyfriend, Ethan, started texting her. They had dated for 4 years before me. Lydia had always maintained it ended because he was immature, quitting jobs to chase his musician stereotype dreams. She needed stability, which he could not provide. I was unconcerned at first. Everyone has an ex. She told me Ethan had reached out, claiming he had changed, gotten a real job doing sound engineering at a studio, and wanted to apologize. She claimed she needed closure. I told her honestly to do what she needed to do. It started innocently with coffee. Then the contact became regular. Twice a week turned into almost daily texts. I would catch glimpses of his name on her phone constantly. Good morning texts. Late night check-ins, inside jokes. I did not understand why a push for closure required such sustained, intimate contact. I remained quiet, struggling with the urge to trust her against the rising tide of my own anxiety. The unease grew into a quiet, anxious confusion, but I rationalized it. I did not want to be the difficult guy, the one haunted by insecurity. I told myself it was just friendship, trying to override the knot of dread forming in my stomach. The conflict stayed strictly internal. I avoided mentioning it, hoping it would simply fade away. The daily presence of her ex-boyfriend in our lives eventually became impossible to ignore. I finally broke my silence 3 weeks ago, realizing the sheer volume of contact had crossed a clear line into something excessive and dismissive. "You and Ethan are talking a lot lately," I said one evening. Lydia instantly turned defensive, arms crossing. "So, we are just friends now. Adults can be friends with their exes." "I get that. But it is kind of excessive," I persisted, fighting to keep my tone even. "You are texting him more than you text me." She lashed out, her voice rising. "That is not true. You are being insecure." It was a classic deflection, designed to make me the problem. Rather than escalating the fight, I dropped it. I allowed the anxiety to subside, telling myself I needed to trust her. My fear of being seen as the difficult guy won the day. Then came last Friday. We had plans for dinner, but Lydia called to cancel last minute. She claimed she was completely exhausted from work and needed to decompress alone. I understood, telling her, "No worries. Get some rest." I genuinely thought she needed a quiet night. 3 hours later, the trust I had struggled to maintain shattered. I was scrolling through social media when I saw a picture posted to Instagram stories. It was Lydia and Ethan at some indie concert venue. Worse, she was wearing the dark green dress she had bought specifically for our canceled dinner date. I took a screenshot. I did not say anything, just filed the concrete evidence away in my mind. The anxiety instantly vanished, replaced by the chilling certainty of betrayal. My fear of being insecure had been replaced by the realization that I had been lied to. When she came over Saturday, she acted as if nothing had happened. I asked about her restful night in. She answered easily, "Oh, yeah. I felt way better after some alone time." "Cool," I said, keeping my expression neutral. "I saw you were at a show." She froze for maybe half a second, the slight flicker of guilt crossing her face, before her composure snapped back. "Oh, yeah. Ethan had an extra ticket last minute. Did not think you would be into that kind of music anyway." There was no apology for the lie, only justification. I let it go, still processing the implications, unknowingly raising the stakes for the next confrontation. I had filed the concert lie away, attempting to process the disrespect, but the following Tuesday afternoon brought the tipping point. We were both working from home at my apartment. I was in the living room answering emails, and she was on the couch with her laptop. The phone rang. It was Ethan, calling, not texting. Lydia answered immediately, stood up, and walked into my bedroom, closing the door firmly behind her. I watched the clock the entire time. 43 minutes. 43 minutes of private conversation with her ex-boyfriend while sitting in my apartment, supposedly spending time with me. She emerged smiling, completely unbothered. She sat back down as if spending almost an hour on a private call with an ex in her boyfriend's home was perfectly normal behavior. I waited 10 minutes, allowing the surreal calm to settle over me. Then, I said it. "I need to talk to you about your ex." She actually rolled her eyes. "Here we go again. You lied about Friday," I stated, keeping my voice steady. "You are talking to him constantly. You just spent almost an hour on the phone with him in my bedroom. This is not friendship anymore. You are being controlling." She shot back, immediately defensive. "I am allowed to have male friends. He is not just some male friend. He is your ex-boyfriend of 4 years, who you are clearly still emotionally involved with." Lydia stood up, crossing her arms. "So what? You are giving me an ultimatum. It is him or you. I am saying, what you are doing is not respectful to our relationship. You are prioritizing him over me, lying about seeing him, having private calls while we are supposed to be spending time together." She stood firm, matter of fact, utterly entitled. "I am not letting go of my friendship with him just because you are insecure. Deal with it, or don't. But I am not changing." It was the way she said it. The ultimate rejection of our relationship in favor of her freedom to deceive. I felt a strange, deep calm take over, replacing all the doubt. I said, "Okay." She smiled, relief washing over her face. "Good. I knew you would understand. You are not like other guys. That is why I love you," I continued, delivering the mic drop. "I understand you are choosing him. So, I will go solo from here." Her face scrunched up in confusion. "What does that mean?" I replied. It means you keep your ex. I keep my dignity. Goodbye. It took a second for the words to register. Then the panic hit. Wait, what? You are breaking up with me. Yes. Over this. Over me having a friend. Over you lying, prioritizing him, and just straight up telling me to deal with being disrespected. I am good, actually. The tears started instantly. You cannot be serious. I thought you were different. I thought you trusted me. I did trust you. Then you lied about Friday. Trust gone. That was one time. That I know about. How many times did you decompress alone and actually hang out with him? Her silence confirmed everything. That is what I thought, I said. You need to leave. This is my apartment too. I am here all the time. You do not pay rent here. Your name is not on the lease. It is my apartment. Please leave. The tears quickly morphed into anger. You are being a child, throwing away 2 years over nothing. No. I am being someone who respects himself. There is a difference. She grabbed her laptop and charger. As she walked to the door, she muttered about how I was overreacting and how I would regret this. At the door, she turned back, pulling one last entitled move. You know what? Fine. Leave. See how long it takes before you are begging me to come back. I am a catch, and you just screwed yourself. Doubt it. Bye. I closed the door and locked it. I stood there, taking a moment to breathe, feeling a strange mix of surreal relief. The immediate backlash, however, was already starting. The door had barely clicked shut when I felt the first wave of surreal relief wash over me, quickly followed by the certainty of the upcoming storm. Lydia's final words, filled with spite and entitlement, confirmed I had made the right decision. This was not a moment of regret, but a moment of empowerment. My friend, Ben, the mutual friend from the barbecue, texted me almost immediately. It turned out Lydia had already taken the breakup public. She posted a dramatic message on her Instagram story. One, your boyfriend chooses his ego over love. I did not hesitate. I blocked her on every platform: Instagram, Snapchat, and her phone number. I enforced the digital boundary instantly, knowing any further conversation would only be a toxic loop of denial and deflection. The relationship conflict was terminated, but the manipulative backlash had just begun. Within an hour, the first wave of harassment hit. She apparently tried calling me 60 times from her own number. When that failed, she borrowed her sister's phone. It was the evening after the breakup, around 8 o'clock. I answered the unknown number against my better judgment. Hello, I said. Finally, why did you block me? That is so immature. Is this my ex using someone else's phone to violate a boundary? Violate a... Oh my God. Listen to yourself. We need to talk about this. We did talk. You said, you are keeping your ex in your life regardless of how I feel. I said, okay, I am out. Conversation complete. You did not let me explain. You just made a snap decision. You had 3 weeks to explain. You spent them lying and calling me insecure. I am good on explanations. She reverted to the initial script, completely unable to grasp the concept of consequence. This is ridiculous. Are you seriously ending things over a friendship? Not a friendship. Emotional affair. But hey, tomato tomato. Got to go. I hung up and immediately blocked her sister's number as well. The exhaustion was setting in, but the knowledge that I was standing firm provided the energy to keep pushing back. An hour later, her best friend texted me. I did not even know the friend had my number. "Hey, I know things are rough right now, but maybe you should hear her out. She is really upset, and I think there has been a misunderstanding." I replied tersely. "No misunderstanding. She chose him. I chose me." Pretty straightforward. She was not choosing him. She was just being friends. You are being really unfair. Cool opinion. We are not together anymore, so my fairness is not her problem. That was the end of that. I was blocked by the best friend, scoring a 2-for-1 special on digital separation. This morning, the next wave arrived. Calls from her mother. I did not answer, but she left a voicemail. It was a calculated delivery of guilt. "Hi, this is Lydia's mother. I don't usually get involved in young people's business, but my daughter is absolutely devastated. She made a small mistake, and you are punishing her like she committed a crime. Please call her back so you two can talk like adults." Small mistake. The manipulation was constant. I deleted the voicemail. I felt relieved, yet drained. The internal conflict I had struggled with, the fear of being paranoid, was fully validated. I had ended the relationship with dignity, and now I had to defend that dignity against a coordinated, draining attack. I knew this was far from over, and her mother's direct involvement meant the emotional abuse had broadened. I needed to prepare for the inevitable escalation. The private, digital harassment campaign failed to make me budge, so Lydia quickly shifted her strategy to public opinion and physical intrusion. Work felt immediately uncomfortable. Ben, the mutual friend who introduced us, pulled me aside during lunch. "Dude, what happened with you and Lydia?" he asked, his expression serious. "She is blowing up the group chat saying you dumped her out of nowhere." "Out of nowhere?" I asked, frustrated. "She has been basically dating her ex for a month." Ben's eyes widened. What? "She just said you got jealous because she was being friends with an old friend." I quickly summarized. The truth: her ex-boyfriend, the lies about the concert, the constant texts, and the final ultimatum. She left out some details. I finished. Ben showed me the group chat. Lydia had written a lengthy, emotional post about how I could not handle her having male friends, how I had deep-seated trust issues, and how she had dodged a bullet finding out how controlling I was. The reality was the exact opposite. But she was spinning a perfectly crafted victim narrative. I screenshotted the post for later evidence, accepting that I now had to manage my reputation. Ben confirmed his loyalty, saying, "I am team you on this." That is shady as hell. His external validation helped combat the feeling of being gaslit by her public spin. The harassment reached my home that evening around 6 o'clock. Someone knocked on my door. Through the peephole, I saw Lydia standing there, holding bags of takeout from my favorite Thai place. I ignored her. She knocked again. "I know you are home. Your car is here. Please, I just want to talk." I remained silent. "I brought food. Your favorite. We can just eat and discuss this calmly." When she started crying in the hallway, I felt the first brief flicker of guilt, quickly extinguished by the knowledge of her manipulation. I used my laptop and Google Voice, since her number was blocked, to text her. I am not opening the door. You need to leave, or I am calling the building manager about harassment. She'd read the text on her phone and sighed, defeated. She left the food outside my door, along with a note, then walked away. The note was a masterpiece of non-apology. I am sorry for lying about Friday. I was wrong. But you are wrong too, for not giving me a chance to fix this. We are supposed to be a team. Please do not give up on us. I love you. I will always love you. Even in her attempt to reconcile. The accountability was zero. It was still about my stubbornness and my refusal to work on it, not her disrespect. I put the Thai food in the fridge and threw away the note, utterly done with the emotional chaos. The initial relief of the breakup was now overshadowed by a profound fatigue and annoyance. Ben suggested I needed to document every single attempt in case she escalated further, citing a friend who had experienced similar post-breakup drama. It felt paranoid, but necessary. I kept the screenshots and saved the mother's voicemail. My focus shifted from defending my choice to self-protection. I needed a clear boundary. Tomorrow, I was changing my keypad door code, which Lydia knew. I also planned to inform the building manager about the situation, officially establishing a security boundary. This continued drama was exhausting. I was ready to move from defense to offense by establishing firm, legal boundaries. The physical appearance at my door, coupled with the manipulative note, made it clear I could not handle this with silence alone. I needed legal counsel. I scheduled a consultation, paying $200 for 45 minutes of objective advice. I outlined the situation, the constant contact attempts, the public defamation, the harassment through third parties like her sister and mother, and the showing up at my apartment. The lawyer confirmed I had grounds for a restraining order if the harassment continued. His advice was clear: document everything. Do not engage at all, and if she showed up one more time, file for the order. The threats and contact attempts continued throughout the rest of the week, including a new one from her best friend who tried to drop off important documents at my building. I told the doorman to send her away. The tension was sustained, draining my energy. Then came Friday morning, 2 days after my last update. I went down for my morning coffee run and found Lydia sitting in my building's lobby at 7 o'clock. She looked tired, messy, and desperate. "Morning," she said, acting as if this was normal. "What are you doing here?" "Waiting for you. We need to talk." "No, we do not. You need to leave." I kept walking, but she followed me to the sidewalk. "I am not leaving until you hear me out. I have been thinking. I talked to my therapist." I stopped. "You do not have a therapist." "I started seeing one because of this. She said we should communicate our needs clearly, and I have not been doing that. So, I am here to communicate. My need is for you to leave me alone. Super clear. Bye." She accused me of cruelty, claiming I would not even listen to her attempt to fix things. I turned around, determined to end this street performance. "You are hurting because you are facing consequences. That is not my problem anymore. You cheated emotionally. You lied repeatedly. And when I called you on it, you told me to deal with it. So, I am. By leaving. I got my coffee and went back upstairs, confirming with the doorman that she was not allowed entry under any circumstances. I thought the storm had passed, but the true escalation came the following Saturday morning. At 8:47, she showed up at my building again. This time, she was with Ethan, the ex-boyfriend. The doorman called immediately. I grabbed my phone and started recording audio, walking downstairs with cold, objective determination. They were waiting in the lobby. She looked defiant. Ethan looked uncomfortable. You had until Friday, she said immediately, referencing the ultimatum in her letter. And you had until I blocked you to respect boundaries, I countered. Yet here we are. This is Ethan, by the way, she said, attempting to introduce us. Since you have been so obsessed with him. I am not obsessed with anyone, I corrected her. I just do not date people who lie and cheat. He is your problem now. Ethan shifted awkwardly. Look, man, I do not want any drama. She just said you two were having communication issues, and she wanted me here for support. Communication issues, I repeated. That is what she told you. Yeah. That you could not handle her having guy friends. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots, and showed him the picture of them at the concert. She lied about being exhausted, then went to a concert with you wearing a dress she bought for our date. That is not communication issues. That is cheating. Ethan's face hardened as he looked at Lydia. What? You said you two were broken up when we went to that show. Lydia went pale, stumbling for words. We were basically broken up. We had been fighting. We had one conversation where I mentioned you were talking to him a lot. That is not basically broken up. You were lying. Ethan looked at her, the realization dawning in his eyes. So, you were dating both of us. The police arrived right then. 2 officers who looked thoroughly tired. I confirmed that she was my ex-girlfriend, that we broke up 2 weeks ago, and that she had been harassing me and showing up here multiple times. That is not harassment, Lydia shouted. I am trying to fix our relationship. There is no relationship, I said calmly. I ended it. You cannot force someone to be with you. The male officer turned to her. Mom, is your name on the lease here? No. But then you are trespassing. You need to leave now, or we are charging you with trespassing. She looked at me, tears streaming. You are really doing this. You are going to have me arrested. You are doing this to yourself. I asked you to leave me alone multiple times. You refused. These are consequences. The officers escorted both of them out. I gave the female officer all my documentation, including the call logs and the Facebook post. She advised me to file for a protection order on Monday morning. I had done what the lawyer advised. I had enforced the boundary. The legal pivot had begun. The police presence and the public shaming in the lobby were enough to trigger the final, necessary action. On Monday morning, I filed the protection order at the courthouse. I filled out the necessary paperwork, explained the history of harassment to a judge, and presented the comprehensive documentation I had collected that could The screenshots of the lies, the call logs from her family, and the police report from the weekend's trespassing incident. The judge granted a temporary order immediately. Lydia could not contact me. She could not come within 500 feet of my home or my workplace. There would be a formal hearing in 3 weeks, but my lawyer assured me the documentation made a permanent order very likely. The order was served to Lydia on Tuesday. I knew because her mother immediately violated it by calling my work. My boss called me into his office, looking uncomfortable. "Your ex-girlfriend's mother called here demanding to speak to you." I told her that is not happening, and if she calls again, we are reporting it to the police. I apologized for the incident bleeding into work. "I am okay," I assured him. "I filed for a protection order yesterday, and this call already violates it." My boss was supportive. "Not your fault. She sounds unhinged. You did the right thing getting that order." The incident served as a final, clear example of the family's inability to respect boundaries, even legal ones. The situation was draining, but the legal framework was holding, finally managing the chaos. That was Tuesday. Today was quiet. It was the first peaceful day in 2 weeks. I had successfully outsourced the burden of enforcement to the legal system. The active harassment had stopped. My profound fatigue slowly began to lift, replaced by a sense of quiet relief that the worst was over. The physical and digital boundaries were secured. I checked my email tonight and found one last communication. It was from Ethan, the ex-boyfriend. The subject line simply read, "Sorry, man." I hesitated, but opened it. He wrote that he did not expect a reply, but wanted to apologize for his part in the mess. He confirmed that Lydia had told him I broke up with her, and she was just nervous to tell people, yet. When he realized she had lied to both of us, he cut contact with her. He validated my reality, saying I handled it far better than he would have, and confirmed she was now blowing up his phone, calling him a traitor. I did not respond. I felt confirmation that my reality was indeed reality, not the twisted version she had been selling. With the temporary protection order in place and the validation from Ethan, the external conflict finally subsided. I spent the weekend processing the emotional fallout. I felt tired, disappointed that someone I had cared about turned out to be so profoundly manipulative and entitled. But I had no regret. Not even a little. Every day since the breakup, Lydia had done something to confirm that leaving was the correct choice. Her inability to accept consequences, the immediate victim playing, and the eventual escalation to harassment showed me exactly who she was. I realized I had not dodged a bullet, but a nuclear weapon. I felt immense relief that this crisis had happened now. 2 years into the relationship, instead of later, after moving in officially, or perhaps getting engaged. The whole ordeal taught me something vital. My dignity was not negotiable. I had allowed my fear of being labeled insecure to compromise my boundaries for too long. When I finally chose self-respect, the decision was sharp and clean. Ben came over with beer and pizza. We did not discuss the drama much. We just watched basketball and decompressed. I realized that my initial fear of being alone was gone, replaced by a profound peace. I was no longer walking on eggshells or spending energy questioning my own reality. I was single, unbothered, and genuinely okay. I had set a reasonable boundary. She had crossed it, and I had left. Her inability to accept that reality was no longer my burden to carry. I put my life back together, focusing on work and my own home. I was moving forward now, knowing I had navigated the chaos and prioritized myself. Being single sounded pretty great.